Bipartisan group of lawmakers is looking to ease tensions with Greenland and Denmark as President Trump continues to call for the United States, one way or the other, to take control of that Danish territory. 11 members of Congress visited Denmark today to be both their prime minister and Greenland's. The congressional delegation told them majority of Americans do not support the president's efforts to take Greenland, and that dialogue would be an improved method to calm things down. Let's listen.
Greenland needs to be viewed as our ally, not as an asset. And I think that's what you're hearing with this delegation.
Part of the point of this trip is to have a bipartisan group of members of Congress listen respectfully to our friends, our trusted allies and partners.
I want to turn now to Rufus Gifford. He was the U.S. ambassador to Denmark during the Obama administration. Mr. Ambassador, great to have you with us. Look, I have discussed on this program with others, there is a strategic importance of Greenland. It is nearly 4 times the size of Texas. It is where the Atlantic and Arctic Oceans meet. There are more air and sea patrols conducted there between Greenland, Iceland, the UK, Norway. It's significantly geographically part of what NATO seeks to accomplish. All of that is true. But what the president is doing seems to have rattled many cages, and possibly unnecessarily so.
That's exactly right, Major. I think, first of all, everything you articulate is right, and something Americans have known for decades now, frankly. The challenge here, and the reason why I think this policy is just so reckless and also completely sort of forgets history, how NATO works, et cetera. In that sense, it's actually quite clueless as well. The national security argument is a real one. Russians have built up their national security presence in the Arctic over the course of the last decade, and the allies, meaning NATO, the other Arctic countries, have scaled back, and we have led the way there. We used to have 17 military bases on Greenland. We now have had 1. That's both administrations, including Trump 1, didn't make a choice to reinvest in Greenland, even though we knew we could. But this is a very, very difficult time for this alliance. And I would make the argument emphatically that this sort of hostile relationship with NATO does nothing other than empower our adversaries here, Major. Meaning there is no one who is licking their chops more than China and Russia. So in fact, Trump says that this is good for American national security. It's just the opposite. This weakens American national security.
Mr. Ambassador, the administration and the president have said this week that you only care about something you own, meaning America has to own Greenland for this to work. But I was looking at some statistics in the Wall Street Journal today. There are 128 U.S. military bases around the world in 51 countries. Almost not one of them is owned. We have a pattern and practice of participating and negotiating with host countries and then using that negotiating platform as a means to project our various military and strategic interests.
That's right, sir. And this is the thing that drives me crazy about this, because we're talking about 2 of our best allies here in the Danes and the Greenlanders. Who have obviously been marching in lockstep with us on every foreign policy issue. They've fought and died alongside U.S. troops. They would love nothing more than to sit across the table from American diplomats and work at a deal. And whether that is for additional military investment in Greenland, whether that is a relationship regarding mining, rare earth minerals, all of this. But it is simply absurd to say for us to achieve those goals, we need to acquire Greenland. It makes no logical sense. And it makes no logical sense. And then in doing so, we blow up, and I really do believe that is the term that should be appropriately used, the best alliance the modern world has ever seen, which is NATO. So this is just so detrimental across the board.
Mr. Ambassador, there was another news event today that you might find related. The Prime Minister of Canada announced a new trade deal between Canada and China and said that Canada will reassess its relationship with the United States and grow tighter with China, something that I think would have 2 years ago been almost inconceivable to Canadians, the Chinese, and the United States.
Yeah, I saw that, Major, and I'm honestly still processing it. I think you're exactly right. I mean, if there is not a better example of the Trump, what I would call reckless and haphazard tariff policy, backlashing against the United States, our interests, American people, the American consumer. There's probably no better example than Canada going to China. I think, and I think we're going to start to see a lot more of it. Look, Major, I think this is so much about my favorite word in the English language, which is the word trust. We have spent decades, and I believe that American diplomacy has been such a great force for good over the decades. We have spent decades earning the trust, in particular of our NATO allies, but in most countries around the world. It's extraordinary the rate at which that trust has eroded. And we're going to have to do a lot of work to build that trust back.
Ambassador Rufus Gifford. Mr. Ambassador, I appreciate your time very, very much. Thank you.
My pleasure, Major. Anytime.